Welcome our viewers into another episode of your show around Kuwait, where every episode we share some of the real inspiring stories with you, and some of the episode where we highlight in some of the events that have been happening around our beloved country. Of course, I'm your host Abdul Latif Al-Anizzi, and today I'm joined with my colleague and co-host Fajr. So hello and welcome, Fajr.
Thank you, Abdul Latif, and of course, welcome to everyone that's tuned in to watch us. As my colleague said, we will be your host today, and we'll be sharing with you a number of inspiring stories with some inspiring guests and topics as well.
And today, of course, we are joined by Isa Youssef, a phenomenal artist who has mastered to interact with the world of miniature art and figure painting.
And of course, his journey is full of creativity, dedication, and a deep passion for bringing miniature masterpieces to life. We're going to understand more as we delve into Isa's artistic realm and uncover the inspiration behind his unique and captivating creations.
So as for a start, welcome Isa, and thank you for being here with us to share with us your journey, your story, and everything that you had to go through behind your talent and of course your journey. So, Isa, as of the first question, when did you first discover your love for miniature art and figure painting?
That's a good question. I tried to remember how exactly it happened, but the way how it started, I started to paint pictures. I used to paint comics, then I went to traditional art, then those things didn't work out. Then I went to college, I discovered 3D printing. Usually you can 3D print something and paint it. And from that's how I discovered for the love of art and skills, and from there I tried to improve myself, on and so on until I got good to it.
So Isa, we can say that you're always a work in progress. You started by sketching, let's say, in your art notebooks, and now your work is evident and you've dived in a new world of creations. We'd like to know how you manage to make time to improve and practice these skills in figure painting specifically.
The way I improve it, I always find something on the internet. I 3D print those models and I keep on painting and painting. I keep on practicing it.
So trial and error to some extent?
Trial and error. With bit more practice, you cannot get good at it. At this point, I would call myself as a practitioner artist, because I just keep painting almost every single day, non-stop.
Wow.
So I think that's how I got good.
But to paint every single day, you need to be able to manage your time in a very organized manner.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Yeah.
Once you love something that you really like, you would find that time of a gap where you can actually start painting. You don't.
It's like you don't consider it as a time to work. It's as a time to work and also as a time to practice your hobby. Let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like that?
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Some part I do important work, and some part of the time I do painting. So, yeah, you can always squeeze a bit of time from that gap.
So, Isa, I wanted to ask you something, but before we go to the next question, I would love to know and make it clear to our viewers, what's the difference between the figurines and the miniatures?
The figurines are usually the bigger statue, around this size, I would say. And miniature, usually they're really small. If you can see from this art piece that I brought, the bigger one on the left side, that I would call it as a figurine scale.
Yeah.
The one on the right side, it's the miniature scale. So that's how the difference are there. So
yeah.
If someone asks me about figurine, that's the big one, and the miniature means small.
It's a good example, actually, also to bring you, which makes it even perfect. So, could you tell us about some of the figures that you create, such as mask characters and detailed facial features and animals?
Like which one?
Can you share with us some of the characters that you did and the miniatures and the figurine that you created, like the mask characters and the small characters, like some of the figurine that you had that's closest to your heart, and maybe also if you like to mention the story behind the ones that you had for today. Like, do you remember which day exactly when did you like create, let's say, the small one? More details on it.
The small one I created, like I think it was probably one of my masterpieces that I created. That was a long time ago, and I just brought this one I can show to people, like this is the level of creativity that I went to, and this is like what I love the most about painting. It's just the amount of details. If you can see closely, you would see a lot of different colors.
Too much details, yeah. Actually, as we see from here, too much detail because it's small, but there is still really much details for a small miniature, which is it's not considered as small miniature. It's considered as a regular size miniature, right?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, it's actually really good. Do you have like maybe a story behind it, and like why did you create this character exactly?
It's not that I created this character.
The miniature you created on a basic character. That's lots of people know. But there's a story. Like, why did you chose it? Let's say.
Oh, I chose this one because it looks more. It's more like I like things that are horror.
Yeah,
bit,
thrilling.
So it's more thrilling. Yeah, you can say that. So, in order for me to improve my art skill, I need something that makes me happy to paint. So I picked this one, the pumpkin head, and. Yeah.
And the pumpkin head has a lot of different shades of orange, so I'm sure that using a wide variety of colors in your figures, and whether it's the figurines or the miniatures, plays a huge role when choosing the colors and the color contributions, the different shades. How does this choice impact your overall end result?
It did impact me a lot because if what you see from this miniature that I painted, there are probably more than 7 layers of colors, of shades.
Wow, 7.
So
more than 7.
It's more than 7, I would say, because it's if I want to make something really good, might as well just go on the top, like go 7 layers of colors, mix with different colors, try to find references, like where's the shadow that's popping, either to the face, maybe from the back.
And then you have to mix the colors to get a shade that suits the rest of the tones you went with, right?
Yeah, you have to mix it.
Wow.
You have to go for the vibrant color, and I picked orange and blue as my main vibrant colors.
Okay.
How long does it take you to create this one? Because as you mentioned, 7 layers, that's too much.
Oh yeah, it's a bit too much for the 7 layers. How long I took this one? I think I would say 20 days, if I remember correctly. But if I were ever to paint this one, I think it would have taken me at least 3 days, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, 20 days, that's a different back then.
So also you paint some medals and hangers. Can you tell us like more about that aspect, and how did you come up with the idea to paint it, and why exactly?
When you say metal hangers, like just something to hang?
Like the medals and the hangers, because you not only specified your work for miniatures and figurines, right? Mm-hmm. You also for like medals, right?
Yeah, I do sometimes. Yeah. But when you say a metal hanger, like something I can hang the medal and just paint on it, then yeah.
That's like, let's say it's a regular thing, but for the medals, you know. Yeah, like why did you do that also?
Just to make sure that when I paint, I don't want to touch my hand on the medal. So yeah. You would use an airbrush and just spray it while it's dangling from through the air. And just the idea is that I don't want to touch it, and I don't want any dust on it. Just to create a smoothness and cleanliness from the medal itself. So I think that's how it goes.
Because as an artist and as a miniature artist specifically, you're very specific, and your attention to detail is very high, let's say, and you have to be aware of every element you're painting and you're working with. So that must be something you always put in the back of your head, but we'd like to know how that enables you to come up with more meticulous paintings and more detail-oriented.
I think I start by just looking for reference, because if you don't find any reference, you don't know what you're doing. So what I do is I find a reference, I just find one color, and that color I would expanding with more spectrum of colors that's close to it, and then create the colors that I want and mix them and apply it to my model.
So it all depends on the reference you choose in the beginning.
You're gonna have to, because if you don't do reference, you don't know you don't know what type of colors you want to paint on the model.
Okay.
You kind of
nice.
need it.
Yeah. So what about the colors that you are creating and the color that you are doing it and having? From where did you bring it? Because some of are, let's say, are different from the regular ones that we see on the market.
Okay, this is going to be hard to explain, because there are many kinds of colors.
Yeah.
And each of them have their own consistency. Okay. To paint the the pumpkin head, first thing I would use a wash color. Basically, it's acrylic, but it's diluted with water, a lot of it. I would just spread it everywhere, let all the darker colors sink into the corners, just to show like where's the part the darkest and which is the lightest. And then I would use an opaque color, try to add more layers on top of it. So because the undertone of the layer, it's already been tainted with color, so it can actually pops up more if you add another layers of colors, then another layers of colors, by using just an opaque. And that's how I actually created this piece of miniature. Like you can see a lot of details.
Brilliant idea.
If you look closely,
yeah,
especially the jacket, that blue jacket that he's wearing, it's actually dark purple.
Yeah.
I added dark purple, light purple, blue, then light blue, and then lightest blue. And that's how you see that a lot of details in it. And that's not just the jacket. There's even the sweat, even the t-shirt, I think.
Yeah.
Even the hat, you can see there's a lot of colors. There's red, dark red, orange, then white tan, and then white.
Yeah. So what happened if you let's say you have a mistake? What are you gonna do? Like, do you throw it, or like I mean, how can you correct it?
Well, there's a way to correct it. If you're an artist, especially you're a miniature artist, you find ways to hide those. Only the miniature artist can find their mistakes, and the others will not find it. So usually I will just cover it, make sure that nobody will see it, and just present and just show people, like, there you go, this is the piece of art, and nobody will be able to find it.
Because you know all the details, but visible to the eye, you would have worked around it. But Isa, I'd also like to know, because before we start this interview, we were talking about how much of people are into miniature art and figurines, and even the inspirations you use to create these figures. But I'd personally like to ask you if you're inspired by one specific artist that inspires you to create the work you do.
I was being inspired to do something like this, but usually it's not here in Kuwait, though. It's actually outside. It's just one of the Spanish artists who painted a lot of statues, but bigger ones, of course. He never painted small ones. And I saw his work, like, it's amazing, like how he shades the colors with layers, and it was amazing. Like, I saw this head that he painted. It was just blank white. Basically, it's just plaster of Paris, powdered. He started it by painting it just one color, then two, then third. Then he did something that actually carried the details of the head. And from that, where it actually speaks to me that I wanted to do something like this, but on a miniature scale and figurine scale. And there was a community here in Kuwait. They actually do this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I was part of them at first, but now I'm no longer part of the community because I moved on. That's how I got inspiration from. So I took the Spanish artist who painted bigger stuff with amazing colors that he put on it. And I took all that and applied it to small things.
Wow.
So that's how it looks like. I created something, a piece of art. People can actually use magnifying glass, they can see a lot of colors. It actually looks nice.
It actually looks nice, even from here, I'm not gonna lie. So it is really good. So even though that you are working on some of the figurines and characters that's the basics from let's say animes and cartoons, so these characters are, let's say, beloved to a lot and lots of audience, especially your audience and this career. Yeah, but can you tell us, how do you capture the essence of these characters onto your work, and so also how do you bring it to life?
How I bring it to life? If the audience want me to paint something,
Yeah.
the first thing I would tell them, well, what's your reference, so that I can at least bring back the life that you guys, that the audience want, you know. Like there's an example. There's this community who loves this old cartoon robot called Grandizer.
Yeah,
If
all
you
of
know
us,
it.
we love it.
He wanted me to paint the one of the characters that piloted the robot, but I don't know the colors because everyone has their own opinion of the colors. So I asked him, like, give me the reference so I can paint it and give it life and give it to you.
Yeah.
So he showed me the color, he showed me the reference. I painted his masterpieces, and there you go. And I gave it to him, and he's happy about it. That's how I asked the audience.
So if
I want to give them life to it.
That's actually a great idea. So if I ask you something, if I have like a character that I love, but I want to change, like, let's say, the skin color, the outfit, you can do this for me, right?
Yes, I can do it.
That's really great.
That is great indeed, and of course your unique techniques play a huge role in distinguishing your artwork, and we're gonna talk more about this, but right after the break. Stay with us.
Welcome back, our viewers. Continuing our interview with our beloved guest, a talented, and of course, welcome back, and we're so glad to have you. And I'm not gonna lie, we're actually having really fun with the interview and knowing all about the miniature and the figurines and how did you paint it and the journey that you're having. It's really exciting.
And your special technique that has distinguished you as an artist in the realm of this creative world that you've dived into, but I'm sure you have some techniques that are closer to your heart, some favorite techniques, and if you could tell us more about it. Like, you gave us an example of how you like to mix different colors and use your base or use your inspiration, your reference, like you said, to base all the colors on. But what is your favorite technique that you feel really adds distinctiveness to your work?
Okay, there is a lot of techniques, so I guess I'll choose just one, and that's called dry brushing. And do you know what dry brushing is?
Sort of, if you could tell us more about it.
Okay, I'll explain.
Dry brushing. Yeah.
Basically, by the name of it, dry brushing, you're actually brushing your models with just dried colors, like super dry.
Yeah.
Enough that when you just dry brush it like this.
Yeah.
And some part of the edges here and
You
here
can
and
see the
here
textures,
will
right?
leave the textures of the line. And the thing is why I like this technique. It's very fast, very effective. You can finish it in just, let's say, like this miniature. If I were to dry brush this one, this would have taken me. Okay, wait.
The pumpkin
if
head
I ever
or
paint
the female?
The pumpkin one, because the female I have to do it manually. It's not dredgeable. So the pumpkin would have taken me really 3 days without dry brushing. But with dry brushing, it would have taken me only just, I'll say, 4 hours. And the idea of that is really easy. You
But
just
this
slap
one took
it.
you 20 days, right? Because you used a complete different technique.
It was different.
Okay.
That was back then when I used to practice.
Okay.
But things have changed, and now I can finish it in 3 days. But if I actually learn what I'm supposed to do again. But anyway, going back to the dry brushing takes only 4 hours, I would say, because you just keep on slapping and slapping the surface of the textures, just to show all the details. And you just keep doing it, changing colors and then slap it, change colors and then slap it, and you won't get that quality, but you would still feel it's still looking good quality of a piece of art, because dry brushing is just very merciful, I would say. It doesn't. It kind of corrects itself. That's why it's one of my favorite techniques.
It is. It's actually cool, and you can say that's easy, but it's also cool. Like when you dry it, when you spray the colors, it's got to be actually really amazing. Especially also the feeling. But away from the smell, it doesn't have like much smell, right?
The smell?
Yeah, of the painting, you know, because sometimes it has like.
Oh, I don't use any colors that are smelly. The
Yeah.
ones I use that are acrylic, they're non-toxic ones.
Oh, great.
Because I don't like the smell of the paints, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, I know no one does, especially at the first few hours out of it. So, Issa, how do you stay inspired on your journey, especially that sometimes having a talent and you do it like, let's say, in a daily basis, sometimes you get like, let's say, the fire inside your heart for this talent or like for this hobby, you know, gets turned off or, you know, gets a little bit lower.
There's
How
a
do you stay
creative
inspired?
block.
Yeah.
When you're facing a creative block, I think.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, well, like, let's say, yeah, as a challenge. But how do you stay inspired?
How do I keep myself motivated?
Motivated, inspired, yeah.
Okay. Look, one thing you have to understand that when it comes to an artist, if you want to stay motivated, first thing you need to do is avoid stress, and second, always sleep properly, because if you're gonna sleep on like 4 hours a day or maybe 5 hours, you're gonna wake up really cranky and you're not gonna feel like you wanna paint. And even if you wanna paint,
You won't do
you,
it.
you don't
great
wanna
job.
do it. Like you know, it feels like it's not that time, not my cup of tea. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow. Basically, procrastinating, and this is where most artists actually they end up for the most part. They always get procrastinated. You
Yeah.
just keep saying, I'll do this tomorrow, I'll do this tomorrow, I'll do this tomorrow. So how do I keep motivation? Basically, avoid stress, sleep, and eat properly. Because that's the only
actually
thing.
good.
It's probably the only thing you can do, really.
So you take care of your mental well-being
And
to a
I'm not
very
gonna
high
lie.
extent. Yeah.
And I'm sorry, Fajr, I'm not gonna lie. This is actually important to mention. This is actually good advice for every
For
hobby.
everyone,
For every
everyone.
hobby and every talent. It's a good advice. So thank you about that.
And of course, that gives you the momentum to continue every day and stay up to date with the latest trends in art, with the latest inspirations, maybe like you were talking about earlier. But also, we'd like to know how you express your emotions and experiences through your artwork, Isa.
The way for me to express my artwork, if I want to show people, I want to show them that this piece, I made it, and it has a lot of details, and you would know that whoever made this, it's the artist which is me. So
It has the Isa touch.
it has a signature touch on it. Like I put a lot of details
Yeah.
in it, people would know. Like if you actually produce a good quality and you put a signature of details of art, they know that's you.
It becomes
This
evident.
is how I show it to people.
Wow.
So, Issa, also tell us about the challenges that you have during your journey, because it's mostly like sometimes you have some challenges, hard time that you're having. So, can you elaborate on some?
Hard challenges like tough stuff I paint, right?
Getting some materials. Sometimes it's hard and challenging. Sometimes it's getting hard. Like some of the season, it's let's say crowdy season, like especially with the events, you know. So you don't have much time to complete your work. Is it like? Can you elaborate on some of the challenges?
I never had a problem with time. The only problem I had, the real challenges I ever had was if the figurine or a miniature is actually like has a lot of details in it. My biggest challenge is like how I'm supposed to touch my brush inside the corners of the model. Like there are so many corners that you can't even reach your brush in. So I would say this is like one of the challenges for me. Like how do I put my colors in it? You know, because it's a small hole and you have a small
Yeah.
brush. You can't even insert it from the inside just to touch the colors from the inside. So yeah, this is probably one of my biggest challenges. Really.
And you cannot be mistaken with that. I mean, any mistake with that, sometimes you cannot even cover the mistake, right? Especially while you're painting.
Oh yeah, I made a lot of mistakes. It's hard to cover it up. I always find my ways to
Not
cover
always
it.
good, but sometimes it's hard.
But practice makes perfect. And like you
True.
said, Isa, you've come a long way in your journey as an artist. We'd also like to understand how you see yourself making a difference in the art world, and what message are you trying to convey through your art?
My message, I really wanted to show people that, like, if you really want to paint something amazing, you can actually do it right now. And I'm showing it through my figure and my miniature in a scale. Like this, I always show people, like if you want to paint something good, go for it. You know, don't stop, and don't be afraid to try something new. You know, because I was afraid, but that was already gone. That was already like gone a long time ago. So I just kept going and going.
And of course, yeah, through the journey, sometimes you get like the thrilling excitement that you be nervous around it, but still you have this remarkable feeling that it's like an adrenaline rush. But can you remember like some of the events that you went to, okay, and you felt that really successful with your journey on it? Like some of the events. I mean, I saw you at one of the events. We're not gonna mention the name, but I saw that you were really crowding, and there was like there's tens of miniatures that you were doing, and you were actually doing a really remarkable job, regardless of the let's say the noise, the crowd, and yet you were actually focused. So also, how do you do that?
Well, when you love something, you can ignore the whole things by the background. So I just keep on painting. And when you mentioned about the 10 pieces, right now, as of right now, I probably produce like more than 30 or 40.
Yeah.
Because I just keep producing like every single day. Like I'm too motivated for this. So during the event, it was actually a good thing that I showed a lot of people that I actually did something amazing. And people came by.
Yeah.
They loved what they're looking, and they're asking questions, and I happily answered them. So, yeah.
And how has participating in events like ComCon and other exhibitions like Abdulatif mentioned, so you live in action in one, how have these participations shaped you to become who you are today, or changed your perspective even?
The event actually changed me, now that I remember. I met a lot of good people. They all gave me a motivation call.
On the event, you met a lot of. Thank you.
I met quite a lot of them. Most of them are really a good artists. You know, they came by. They tell me like there's this. You have to go on this way. You can paint this way. You can show your audience or your customers this way, and it actually changed me. And also at the same time, it made me help. It made me help understand people better. You know, so that I can explain to them even better than them explaining to me. You know.
Yeah. Do you think that you reach to more people through these events?
Yes. I've reached a lot of people. People start to know that I actually, exist now.
Of course, and you're doing actually a remarkable job. And for the people who doesn't know you personally, say Yusuf, they probably know the job that you are doing and the work, because you're actually doing something really, really great. And I'm not gonna lie about that. But also, what about if we had let's say Comic-Con, the big event here in Kuwait? Do you participate?
Yeah, I do participate. Like
on the next maybe, because we don't have Comic-Con here. Like we have some of the let's say the Confest and some of the events. Okay, that's let's say here locally. But as an international event, if it came here, are you going to be excited for it?
Oh yeah, of course. I think if that con is really big, I would go for it, because it's actually a very good exposure.
Yeah.
And probably people will start to recognize me, recognize my talent, recognize that my arts are unique. You know, because painting statues here in convention, it's not really common. Really, it's uncommon, because not a lot of people do this anymore.
That's true.
Here,
so
it's actually the opposite of you think, because I know a lot of people that have been searching for an artist to do just like this.
But I think he's saying that live on spot, not a lot of artists do that.
Yeah.
But speaking of events, I've seen recently that a lot of artists and a lot of charity organizations, NGOs, and a number of different events have been held where they've highlighted the artist's work into for a specific cause, for charity. So have you ever considered doing so or using your artistic talent to contribute to any charity or any good cause, or social cause even?
I think if I want to do charitable, it's actually a good thing. but I never tried it before yet. But if ever it ever happens, I would go for it. I think it feels amazing if you actually produce something and you donate it.
To give
Yeah.
back.
You know,
Yeah, especially
just give
for
it
kids,
back.
especially for kids who love some characters and you already have it on your house that you did it. Okay, you don't have like maybe a plan to sell it close to your heart, but you give it to that kid who in need. I think it's gonna make you feel really great.
Oh,
I
it
mean,
feels
personally,
really
I would feel great.
If a kid actually jumps in and sees my work, I think it does feels great. Actually, it touches your heart a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Asa, thank you for being here with us. But before we finish, can we have like one last advice to the artists who, let's say, want to delve into this journey to be miniature and figurines painter and artist? Like, do you have one special advice for them?
Yes, I do. Look, since I've been an artist for almost for about 4 years now, since the pandemic.
Yeah.
My best advice if for artists, if they want to go for this this type of hobby,
Yeah.
always get involved in the community, because the community will actually help you. I never started just by watching YouTube videos. I started also by talking to people a lot. They teach me, I teach them back, and we both grow. So if the artist wants to, or a person wants to like do this type of art, they have to get involved in the community.
Yeah.
So that's the most important advice. And also, always practice. Always practice a lot. Without any practice, you'll never be good, and there's no shortcut for it.
Thank you, Asa, for being here with us. We're actually
Thank you so much,
glad.
Asa.
Yeah.
We really did delve into the artistic world of miniature art, and Asa did give us a number of insightful pointers, especially for
He did.
people that may be unaware of what it means to be an artist in that field specifically, and of course to explore more of his work, more of Asa's captivating creations, and support his artistic journey. Be sure to check out his work through his different social media platforms. Thank you, Asa, once more, and that was such an inspiring story. For today's episode, we'll be back to resume the rest of the episode right after this break. Stay with us.
Welcome back, our viewers. Continuing our episode after this lovely interview that we had, and now more into a special segment with Bassem Al-Ayoub, giving us an engaging and a thought-provoking discussion on a timeless question: are you a good parent? It's a really, let's say, special segment that we're going to delve into, and of course, we're really excited about it.
Of course, Abdulatif, and it's a very complex question, to be honest, and to understand the dynamics that shape good parenting by itself is something complex and something a lot of parents seek to understand and find it very challenging. And in this specific segment that we're going to be shedding light on with Bassem Al-Ayoub, she offers insights and reflections that help navigate the challenges parents may face throughout the journey of raising children, from them being newborns until adulthood.
Yeah, and we're excited to delve into this special segment, so stay tuned and we'll be right back.
Are you a perfect parent? Welcome to Bible segment. So the question is, are you a perfect parent? There is no such a perfect parent in this world. I'm so sorry to tell you that. I'm a mother and I do understand very well how it is hard to be a parent and to have a huge responsibility to take care of your kids and your children and making them happy and provide them with a very beautiful life, which we work all hard to give them this kind of life. The thing is, when we talk about parenting, we know very well that children expect from us a lot, but we don't have to push ourselves out of the comfort zone just to prove that we are a super perfect parent. We are good, and you can be a good parent or a great parent by few tips which you have to understand that this is what makes you a great parent and a perfect parent maybe in the eye of your kids. So first of all, when we raise up our kids, we have to let them understand what is our limits, what we can afford and what we cannot. Everything we have to do with them, we have to share, not by force. We have to expect from them questions which we think it's crossing the red lines, but they have to understand that when they have a question in their mind, when they want to talk about a certain topic in their mind, we will be the first people that they will come to us and ask us about it. So give them the security that they need to come back to you and to ask you and to share with you whatever they have in their mind. If you do this small steps, it will really create a very good long-term relationship between you and your kids until they grow up and you keep proud of them your whole life. The second thing, you have to keep your personal problem with the mother. So the mom and the father, the mother and the father should keep their problems away from their kids. The kids shouldn't be involved in the mother and father problems because they should have a healthy, well-being life in the house with the family. So problems happen sometimes, conflict happens sometimes between the man and the woman, but that doesn't mean that we have to involve the kids. They should be away from that. The third thing, don't force your kids to do things they don't like. Discuss with them. Open a conversation with them. Let them talk. Give them the freedom to share with you whatever they think about it, and you will be surprised. So let's say, for example, you want them to do a certain sport or a certain activity, and they are not interested. You have to discuss with them. Maybe they have another option. Maybe they will say something very interesting about an idea that they want to do. So give them a space to discuss. Fourth, which is very important for me, very extremely important, please listen to this. You don't have to convince yourself that kids always have to be perfect in their grades in the school. All of them, they have to be A student. All of them, they have to be extremely successful. No, there is A, B, C. God created us in different abilities and different emotions. Some people, they are smart in a way, others are smart in another way. So we don't have to expect that all our kids have to be perfect in the school, have an A grade, and if they have a lower grade, we have to get upset and we have to have a very tough conversation with them. No, please don't do this. Kids are really smart in their own way. We have to push them hard to study and to do the huge effort that is required from them, but don't let them really go into a level where they cannot even accept their reality and their abilities. So I wish you a huge successful by being a great parent. Don't push yourself hard, don't put a lot on yourself, just be a great parent, and I'm sure that you will have a beautiful family and amazing kids and the most successful kids, inshallah, in the future. Thank you so much.
Welcome back, our dear viewers. After hearing what Balsam and Ayub have as a connection from the special segment, Are You a Good Parent? Of course, you cannot be a perfect parent because this concept, like, almost impossible to see a perfect parent. But what she mentioned is actually how you can have this remarkable relationship between your kids and your sons. I think it's really perfect. The things and the aspect that you just mentioned, it was actually something remarkable, like all of it. So even acknowledging that it went beyond one size fits all definition that involved adapting to our unique needs to often each child. She mentioned a lots of things like a conflict between the parents. Try to keep it away from the kids. Let them, like, they don't need to know your problems. They don't need to know your issues. Every parent, they have some, let's say, some arguments, like for the future, for the plans, for things that they should do. What she mentioned is actually really healthy for every relationship. So I got to say that I wish that every parent should follow these advices.
Indeed, Abdul Latif, and to understand that there's no such thing as a perfect parent, and in return, no such thing as a perfect child, but how you adapt with your relationship with your child, how you face the challenges as they grow up. She also emphasized on the significance of communication between parent and child to develop this relationship and make it stronger. And she also encouraged the activity of active listening. So when your child is speaking, you listen without
As possible as you can.
And you listen without actually belittling what your child is saying, even if it's something rather irrelevant or if sometimes something important as well. You just need to have an open mind when it comes to the different narratives your child might have with regards to what you are discussing. And of course, she addressed the delicate balance between setting boundaries and providing emotional support, which go hand in hand as well, and highlighting the role of positive discipline in children and in shaping a child's behavior as a whole.
It was actually a perfect segment, as we are hearing about. Thank you to Balsam Ayub for this remarkable, let's say, lesson that we had. It was actually great. She also emphasized on something that they don't have to get a perfect marks in schools, like A grades and all of it. Because I need to mention that, because it wasn't long ago when I graduated from high school and middle school. I mean, for all of us, it's like yesterday.
No, it's long ago for me.
For you, no. For me, it was by year. It was long ago. Okay, but for me personally, it was like not too long, and I was miserable because I had a nightmare, because my parents actually told me that, Abdul, if this is your future, depends on this moment. And they made it really big. It's important. And they were actually, at the time, they were doing what every parent should do. Like, one of the most important things is actually school, and then like basics life, like talents, hobbies, and whatever that you have. And not a lot of parents, even these days, have hobbies for their children, unfortunately, with the technology age. So they need to know that your children, it's not that important. It's important, we know, grades in school, but if they got a B, they don't need to have a miserable life, because I was having nightmare. And I need to mention that it's okay. And for my son, I would never let him feel this way. I will try to let him, like, okay, school important. It's the future. but it's okay. If I saw him like someday he was like sad about some of the
Because
he
each
failed.
child is different. Everyone has different strengths. Everyone has different weaknesses, and they show in school and the curriculum, the subjects that a child might not be doing so well, but then he's excelling or she's excelling in another subject. So this also calls for parents to self-reflect and understand why do they constantly feel a need to have their children thriving, especially nowadays when parents are and should be more aware that it's not a one-size-fits-all mold. It's not something that we have to follow strictly, whereas it's something that is led by the child himself.
Yeah.
And we take it from there. You know, we shape the pathway for them and grow with it.
Yeah, and everything you say matter, and everything you do actually matter to them, and it will have a long-term impact. And with that, we need to wrap up the episode where we have like in a fast conclusion. For first, we had Asa Yusuf with us as a
Very
guest.
inspiring interview.
Yes, as an artist and painter for miniatures and figurine, he has a really remarkable, let's say, journey.
And
you
attention
actually
to detail. He's very, very
Talented.
detail-oriented.
Yes, he's really talented with it.
That's our wrap-up for today. And of course, we had Are You a Good Parent segment with Balsam Al Ayoub, which we have just discussed. We hope you enjoyed our episode as much as we enjoyed hosting Around Kuwait for you today. Stay tuned for lots more inspiring stories and our cameras taking us around Kuwait in the next few days. Until then, stay safe.
And
Goodbye.
we'll see you for the next time, and goodbye for now.